presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Sun.
The Rays return to Tropicana Field following a West Coast swing capped by a victory in Dodger Stadium. Tonight, right-hander Jake Odorizzi goes to the hill looking to continue his post-All-Star Game surge. It's an AL East showdown between the Rays and the Yankees next. Coming off that 9-game road trip with a record of 4-5, the Rays return home, opening a 10-game, 3-team homestand. And the first team in, the New York Yankees. Hi again, everybody, and welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you aboard. We have two teams at this time of the year as we approach the final third of the schedule. Not exactly where they wanted to be in the standings. Yankees are fourth, the Rays fifth in the East. But what we do have, two of the hottest hitters in baseball in the number 3 spots in their respective lineups, Evan Longoria and Carlos Beltran.
Well, and let's go with Evan Longoria. Let's go back over his last 10 ball games. 5 have been multi-hit games. He's hit safely in 9 of the 10. And the extra base hits, first of all, jump out at you. There's been 2 doubles, 2 triples, 4 home runs. But what I've really liked from Evan Longoria is watching the in-game adjustments that he's able to make. And right there, understanding what a pitcher is trying to do to you. Brandon McCarthy, very good with the curveball early on. He senses that. He's able to go down and get that pitch down in the zone and lift it out of there for a home run that led the Rays to victory in that final game in Dodger Stadium. So tremendous job by Evan over the last week and a half. But how about Carlos Beltran? Gaudy numbers. You can see right there, handling the ball in very well. Handling the ball up in the zone. As you see, he gets on top of that and handling the ball down in the zone. Right now, he's handling everything to the tune of a .390 average, and being the switch hitter, he's swinging the bat well from both sides of the plate.
And going into this homestand, the Rays have made a couple roster moves. Todd Kalas will be right back with us to go over those 2 switches. Rays and the Yankees just moments away.
26, including tonight with Jake Odorizzi on the mound. Odorizzi with just one home victory this year, despite an ERA inside of Tropicana Field of less than 4. The Rays are also going to go with an 8-man bullpen and a 3-man bench for now, because today in our Toyota Inside Look, you'll see that a couple of lefties were put on the disabled list. Both Logan Morrison, who's been battling that forearm strain, and Oswaldo Arcia, who's been dealing with an elbow strain since the Oakland series, they are placed on the 15-day DL. Nick Franklin, who was red hot before he was sent to Durham, called up. He has a .313 average with the Rays this year. And also Brad Boxberger, last year's American League All-Star and American League leader in saves, is back in the Rays pen. We caught up with Boxberger and his manager about having number 26 back.
Just finishing the year strong, going out there, staying healthy, throwing clean innings, and helping the team win.
Hopefully we're in some tight ball games where those aren't that easy unless we're separating the game ourselves, but we're excited to have Box back. I know it's been a long season, long rehab season for him. We got to make the most of these next 60 ball games with him.
So the second time around for Boxberger, hopefully it goes much better than the one-game stint in Kansas City earlier this year. 3 minutes and 15 seconds till the first pitch tonight. Yankees and Rays with Dwayne Stats and Brian Anderson next on Fox Sports Sun.
For the second time this year, Jake Odorizzi heads to the mound to face off against the New York Yankees. And tonight, trying to even his record, comes in 4-5, and he will face this lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Brett Gardner is going to lead it off, followed by Jacoby Ellsbury and Carlos Beltran. McCann, Teixeira, and Gregorius down the middle. Castro, Headley, and Rick Snyder rounding out Joe Girardi's lineup.
And Jake Odorizzi coming off of a start against the Oakland A's where he went 8 shutout innings, gave up 5 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts. Of course, it was a no decision, but he did it in just 100 pitches. Very efficient. See if that continues here tonight.
First pitch of this game swung on and lifted down the left side. A foul ball out of play. So this one underway. 7th game of the year played between the Rays and the Yankees. So they are about a third of the way through their season series, and the Rays are 2-4 against New York. This one skied to the right side. Forsythe, a few steps into right field from his second base spot, takes care of that.
Well, let's go ahead and set the Rays defense for you. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. And in the outfield, left to right, we've got Geyer, Kiermaier, and Souza Jr. Across the infield, third to first, Longoria, Miller, Forsythe, and Pierce, with Luke Maile behind the plate.
And now Jacoby Ellsbury, Yankees center fielder. Short is on the bat, and he takes the pitch for a strike. And the fastball by him. 0-2.
Well, we're seeing that fastball up in the zone already paying dividends. A pop up to Brett Gardner, a swing through there by Jacoby Ellsbury. Such an enticing pitch.
One ball, 2 strikes. The ball up, Ellsbury laying off. The red hot Carlos Beltran on deck. Ellsbury fouls it away. Jake has, for the most part, pitched better at home than on the road, but he's 1-3 here at Tropicana Field. And again, a foul ball. Ellsbury fouling the high fastball away. He's the home road breakout for Odorizzi.
Yeah, and how about the fact that in 21 starts, he has just 9 decisions. Pushing for those, you know, last time out, 8 shutout. How do you not get a decision out of that? Don't answer. I know.
2-2. Well, he'd like to know that.
You set yourself up. Well, you know, listen, you know, at the end of the day, a starting pitcher will tell you, my job is to pitch deep into a game and give my team a chance to win. And that right there is a line that not only should do that, but should win.
This one by the mound and through into center field. Ellsbury aboard with the chopper up the middle.
Yeah, a stolen base threat now on the first base, although Jake's just given up 5 stolen bases. But look how close this was to being out number 2. This little chopper there just eludes the glove of Odorizzi, and it sneaks out into center field right there.
You know, that's pretty representative of the season that Jake has had. Been a frustrating year. He's come so close, as you talked about, a lot of no decisions, leads the major leagues in no decisions. And some of those games could have easily been wins. Here he is, 4-5, making his 22nd start. And a base hit the other way. Beltran, first pitch fastball. So he continues his hot hitting. He comes into the game 9th in the American League in hitting.
Well, Carlos Beltran, you know, he's given this pitch right here with the shift on, and this ball just, I mean, belt high on the outside corner. You see the shift, 3 Rays. That means Evan Longoria by his lonesome on the left side, and Beltran just pokes it out into left, and now you've got first and second one out.
Well, the Buick GMC big matchup, and right away a nemesis up there for Odorizzi with men on base. Brian McCann, and he comes out swinging, fouling the pitch away. Strike 1.
You know, that's one of those pitches too where if you're Jake Odorizzi, you say, you know, his swing got a little bit long there, trying to, you know, drive that ball with power, was a little tardy on that heater.
As Diaz calling the balls and strikes, calling time. full-time Major League umpire since '99, Diaz. And I think most pitchers feel that he'll give the hitters a little bit of a break with his strike zone. 1-1 the count. Ellsbury at second, Beltran at first. That's a foul ball on the check swing. And it's 1-2.
There's the changeup, trying to get that late finish, and you see it just kind of tumbling its way out of the strike zone. And McCann not able to hold up, foul tips it, and now Jake's put himself in a position to go for the strikeout. And you could do it a couple of different ways. You could go with that changeup down below the zone. You could try to elevate away up around the letters.
He goes up and pops him up, but it's foul and out of play.
You're thinking back to the first pitch fastball for strike one, and you say to yourself, if he's that late on that pitch, I can keep it away from him, go a little bit higher, and if he's going to swing at that one, he's not going to be able to get to it. But to McCann's credit, at least he spoiled it.
Strike three called, and a dandy pitch right there. You can see the location. He gave up on it, and it caught the corner.
Well, it was a cutter, and Brian McCann was not expecting that, and they wanted this in. I think that's why you saw that deep exhale from Jake Odorizzi, because he ends up leaving that pitch right out over the plate. But because of the kind of pitch it was, McCann not looking for it and completely gets locked up.
So if it works, it's a great pitch.
Always. You just tell yourself next time better area.
Here's Teixeira taking a strike. 2 outs now, men at first and second. And a strike to count on Mark Teixeira, 36-year-old first baseman. Shot into center. Kiermaier is there and makes the catch down to his knees and beyond before he made that grab. That ball had a little action on it out there. Rays coming in to hit. Coming in to hit in the bottom of the first inning against Ivan Nova, the right-hander. Here is the lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Logan Forsythe, Brad Miller, and Evan Longoria, the top three. Corey Dickerson, the DH, hitting cleanup in front of Steve Pearce and Kevin Kiermaier. Steven Souza Jr. seventh, Brandon Guyer eighth, Luke Maile, the catcher, batting ninth.
Well, Ivan Nova, who started the season in the bullpen, went into the starting rotation on May the 9th, and you could see his work over the course of the season. 7-5, 4.65 earned run average, 93 innings.
First pitch into Logan Forsythe is a little bit wide. 1 ball, no strikes. We have seen Nova when he's been very, very good, and we have seen him at times struggle. But when he is on, he is really tough.
Well, interesting that you would bring that up, Dwayne, because one of the notes that I have written here on his season, not even against the Rays, 6 of his 14 starts, he's given up 1 earned run. In 7 of the 14, he's given up 4 or more. So it really is night or day.
Oh, a shot deep to left. That baby's gone. Home run on a 2-0 pitch. Logan Forsythe gives the Rays a 1-0 lead. Well, there's a great start for the Rays. Number 10 for Logan Forsythe.
Now, lately, when you become predictable with Logan Forsythe, he's made pitchers pay. 2-0, you know you're going to get the fastball, and it is right down Broadway. Just above the knees, and Logan lays into it.
So an early blast here by Logan Forsythe, and here's Brad Miller lifting a high foul ball out of play. Well, Logan was only 1 of 9 in his prior matchups against Nova, but he really put a blast into that one. Chop left side. This is Headley in his throw to first in time.
Let's take a quick look at that Yankee defense and see how it's going to line up here tonight. Brought to you by Golden Diamond Source. And in the outfield left to right, we have Brett Gardner, Jacoby Ellsbury, and Rob Refsnyder. Across the infield third to first, Chase Headley, Didi Gregorius, Starlin Castro, and Mark Teixeira with Brian McCann behind the plate.
Now it's Evan Longoria. First pitch is a strike. Evan, 8th in the league in home runs now with 23. And in total bases, extra base hits, he's tied for 4th. A long one foul out of play. Take a look at Longoria right now. See extra base hits, tied for 4th, tied for 7th in total bases, 9th in slugging percentage.
Well, it seems like he's been hot for the last couple of months, really. A couple of stretches in there where maybe he wasn't swinging the bat as well as he'd like, but he has been awfully good, awfully consistent, and very productive.
Well, a couple of things, and one is we have not seen a lot of what we did when he would go through stretches where he struggled, where he's chasing pitches out of the zone away.
How many times when he was going through one of those stretches, the lazy fly ball to right, reaching, no power in the swing, out in front right there on a good pitch by Ivan Nova to get the strikeout. But you're right, we have not seen that this year for any real extended period of time.
So 2 gone. Here's Corey Dickerson. Dickerson starts the night with 14 home runs. Takes the breaking ball in there for a strike. There's a shot high and deep into right center. That ball is gone. Home run by Dickerson. Couple of souvenirs early. courtesy of Forsythe and Dickerson. And the Rays lead 2-0.
Ivan Nova, 93 2/3 innings, has given up 19 home runs, of which 16 have been solo shots. And that's exactly what the Rays have been able to put up here in the first inning. This fastball, they want it up and in. They get it up and in, but Corey Dickerson gets the barrel to the baseball before it can get to the spot. And the Rays early lead.
A 2-0 game. Here's Steve Pearce. There's a strike. Well, Forsythe hit his first career game leadoff home run, and Dickerson, 2 outs later, hits one out to right center. A towering shot, and it's 2-0 Tampa Bay. 1-1. Foul ball. It's 1-2. Those first 2 pitches to Pearce, fairly indicative of the history of the Laz Diaz strike zone. That first pitch appeared to be wide, got a strike. Second pitch appeared to be on the corner down. That was a ball. He'll widen the zone a little bit up and not so much down. Tough to get a strike down with him.
It's not a fun way to pitch if you can't get a strike down. And maybe if they widen it, but boy, you like to work down at the knees and be able to get that.
And a swing and a miss to retire the side. But the Rays come up with 2 on solo blast by Forsythe and Dickerson. 2-0 Rays. $2 Kit Ticket Tuesdays presented by Morgan Auto Group back Tuesday. When the Kansas City Royals are in town, all kids 14 and under get $2 tickets with a purchase of a full price paid adult ticket. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Didi Gregorius, the shortstop, leads off. Want to know the count? Gregorius, Castro, and Headley due up for New York. There's a pitch down, but at the knees, and it's a ball. 2-0. Two and one. They got Gregorius to chase that pitch up.
That's like Logan Forsythe. You know, you get those 2-0 fastballs and you want to take a cut, take a big rip. Logan's was out over the plate where he could handle it. That ball was ball 3.
Now it's 2-2.
Maybe ball 3.
Yeah.
You drew me what Laz Diaz strike zone looks like, and that one may have been a strike. Been close.
Yeah, it's like home plate, only vertical. And
Comes
not
to a point in the middle and up.
Yeah, and not at the knees. There's a drive, center field, and Kiermaier is going to be there waiting for it. One away. You saw that one pitch that was called a ball right down at the knees. Tough to get that call with him. And then as the plate goes up, it gets a little wider. He's not big on the corners down or the corners up. There tends to be a little pyramid to the home plate as it goes up.
Dwayne, I'm going to draw it. Well, as soon as pitch tracks comes up. Right here. So we're going to go with it kind of out in this range, and it works its way up to here. Kind of a little wide. Probably not the best, but that's kind of what you're saying.
That's
it's
about
like you
it.
flip home plate up.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, now we've given people something to watch all night long.
Yeah, just check it out and see. So far, in the early part of this game, he's been right on what his history is. 1-1. And at the end of the day, all you want to know is what is the umpire's zone, and is he consistent with it?
That's the biggest thing, is the consistency of the zone. It really is. You don't always have to like a zone, but as long as it stays consistent, now you know where you can go. You know, if I need a big strikeout and I'm not going for a chase, but I'm going to try to get a guy looking on a ball maybe in, I've got to know where I can go in to be able to try to, you know, I can't go into an area that I know he's not going to call if I'm trying to get a guy looking.
And I think that's one of the really fun parts of this game. People go, well, why don't you just have an automatic plate umpire? Just automate the deal, and here's the strike zone. There it is. Well, I think it takes so much out of the game. This is a game, we talk about it all the time, being a game of adjustments from situation to situation. You've got to be aware of that. And if you can make those adjustments and the other side can't, then that's your advantage. That's part of the game.
It will be interesting to see over time if they do go to that automated. You know, there's already been some games where they've messed around with it in some independent leagues.
Yeah, I think it's a terrible idea, because you take the human side, you remove it in a society that I think is removing the humanity out of the human experience
Of
every
everything.
day. So you don't want to do that. I mean, it's something unique about this game. Sell what's unique about this game, and that plate umpire is unique, and from night to night, individual. Breaking ball for a strike right there.
So we get through the weekend. So do you and I start our national convention next Monday and we go to Thursday? You're making the big speech on Thursday?
Well, I don't know if I'm making it, but we'll get somebody to make it.
Callis out there shaking hands and kissing babies.
Yeah, that's it.
You're really good.
1-2 now on Headley. 2 outs, bases empty. That's what we'll do the last third of the year. We're going to campaign for something.
Well, if we have Callis with us, we're going to win.
Oh, no question. He's like the secret weapon.
You got to hide me. You got to put me back in the back room. Just don't talk a lot.
No, that'd be impossible, number one. And number two,
they have handlers.
You know, it's matchups. You got to match everybody up to where they can be successful.
Oh, I know where I'm going to get sent.
2-2. And where would that
I'll be heading to Ybor City.
Hey, there you go.
First and foremost.
Yeah. Yep. 2-2 now. Foul right back. See that fastball up out of the zone, and Headley chasing it, and he fouled it.
You know, and we've already seen that. This first time through the lineup, Jake Odorizzi has gone with that pitch to almost every hitter that has come up there, and a lot of these guys are going to go after it, so he's going to continue to throw that pitch. There you go.
And a foul tip strikeout. 1-2-3. Kevin Kiermaier is going to lead off the bottom of the second inning with the Rays leading 2-0. With the Rays up 2-0. Couple of solo shots in the first off Ivan Nova. Logan Forsythe starting run production with that home run. Dickerson followed, and the first pitch to Kiermaier is a ball down and in. 1 ball, no strikes. Number 10 for Forsythe, number 15 for Dickerson. 1-1. Two and one. Nova has what they call that traditional pitcher's build. He's about 6'4", 6'5". Popper into shallow left. Gregorius out from shortstop has it. So that's the first out. Back to the first inning. Here's Forsythe unloading. Up in the count 2-0. And then Dickerson went up to get that one and belted it out.
I think times too that Ivan Nova can get to be predictable. You know, he's got a good curveball, can change speeds with it, but he's a lot of times just fastball and curveball, where you saw that changeup that he threw to Kiermaier in a 2-1 count to get the little pop-up. It's a pitch that you know, you'd like to see him use a little bit more.
It's a foul ball by Souza Jr. breaks his bat. Yeah, that's a pitch that, for all practical purposes, most lineups discard because he doesn't throw it very often.
And the one that he threw to Kiermaier was good, and it was in a hitter's count. You know, you're able to do that. You'd like to make that pitch a little bit bigger part of your arsenal. You know, tonight we've seen the fastball, we've seen the curveball, we've seen the little cutter that he got Longoria with, and Steve Pearce.
Yep. A lot of talk about possible deals involving Steve Pearce. Now a chop to short. Gregorius plays this one. Goes a strike to first, 2 gone. There'll be a lot of chatter right up through Monday, and I guess 4 o'clock Monday is the deadline. We'll see if the Rays are active or not. Boy, we continue to see a ton of scouts. You know, the speculation sort of peaked, and then it became, well, doesn't appear that the Rays are going to do anything. Even with that, we continue to see and chat with any number of scouts who are at Rays games, watching primarily the pitching, but you know, the whole squad really.
They're like a little squadron of like ants, like roaches almost, just coming through the media dining. Probably not a good visual for everybody, roaches and media dining. But they just kind of came in and, I mean, just took over half of the little thing. And you see all their little badges. I mean, so many different teams represented. You could see them all right there. And
we have seen different scouts from the same team, so they're getting multiple views of these players. And now Geyer is hit by a pitch again. On base, his first time up tonight. That continues to be a big weapon for Geyer. Brandon Geyer now hit for the 23rd time.
And look how he does that. Watch it. You can see where his plant foot, that front foot, the stride comes down and then almost, look at, almost rotates like I'm getting out of the way, but you're almost getting closer to that baseball. This little technique right there.
You know, we have 2 guys in this series. Geyer, who's now been hit by a pitch 23 times, and Jacoby Ellsbury, who is the Brandon Geyer of catcher's interference.
Yes.
Ellsbury has reached base 9 times this year on catcher's interference.
At least twice with the Rays.
Yeah, so maybe we should keep a running tab on these guys. Who gets on catcher's interference and who gets on hit by a pitch through this series between Ellsbury and Geyer. And Geyer has taken the early lead.
Well, they've gone away from just straight batting average. Now it's all about on-base percentage. So on-base percentage. Well, if I get hit, my on-base percentage is going to continue to go up. I mean, Jacoby Ellsbury, he goes after those pitches down in the zone and catches that glove 9 times.
Geyer takes off, and there's no throw. He's in with a 2-out stolen base. Now in scoring position. And the count on Luke Maile is 3-0.
Well, listen, Yankees as a staff have given up the most stolen bases in the American League, and that one uncontested. And a couple innings from now, that'll be indifference. That's a stolen base now.
Geyer in scoring position. Castro talking with Geyer about his hit by pitch technique.
He does not give up any ground, none whatsoever. And that front leg as he comes down and strides, it's so close to the plate that if it's just a little bit off the plate, it's got a good chance of catching him. That's what the technique is. Subtle movement here or there, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and coming to some sort of agreement with the pain, willing to be hit by a pitch.
Yep, no doubt about that.
Well, the walk to Maile, first and second, with 2 outs for Logan Forsythe. Into the dirt, picked out by McCann. Well, that easily could have put both men into scoring position.
Yeah, how he was. Watch this technique and watch this scoop. This is a difficult pitch to handle. And he's able to get up to it and glove it. What an effort.
Now a strike. Fastball up. 1-1. Boy, what a great 2-out opportunity for the Rays. Brad Miller on deck. Starts to go and check just in time. Corey Blazer on the call down there.
Yeah, really, that's a strike regardless of the check. I mean, that pitch is right there just above the belt. Had certainly plenty of plate.
And you could have gotten him on the swing.
I mean, everything was wrong there.
It's 2 strikes in 1 pitch.
Les Diaz and Corey Blazer.
And a right toward the line. Rev Snyder on the move and can't get there. A foul ball hit the corner of the bullpen mound. And the count goes out to 2-2.
You know, every time I hear Corey Blazer, when we do the lineup and it comes, all I can think of is Globo Gym, Team Globo Gym from Dodgeball. I don't know what it is. I can't think about anything but that. And wondered if he was a part of that team with a name like Blazer. And we get him a lot.
We'll have to ask him. 2-2. And again, a scoop by McCann. If he was, they've left it out of that part of his bio.
That's right. That's right. Because you're going to have to know his strike zone for tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So you've done your research.
3-2 now on Forsythe. Bouncer foul right down beyond Charlie Montoyo. We'll do it again on 3-2. Lifts it into right. Snyder is there and makes the catch. 2-out threat. The Rays lead 2-0. Get a Rays backpack presented by Sagicor Life Insurance. All kids 14 and under receive the backpack while supplies last at this coming Sunday's game when the Rays take on the Yankees. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Rays up. Rob Snyder takes the first pitch for strike one.
I looked up the names of the Globo Gym competitors.
Yes.
Well, we have Blade, Laser, Blazer. That's where it comes from. Then there's Michelle, and then a guy named Fran, and his last name has like 30 letters in it.
Blade and Laser, then Blazer.
Yeah.
It's got to go.
That's why every time you hear Corey Blazer, that's all I can think of.
1-2.
You know, there's a correction there. Fran was the lady. She's from an Eastern Bloc country.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, and it is important for us to be accurate.
There may have been doping. I don't know.
Them or us? There is that question.
It's the weekend, man.
Early start Friday. 1-2 the count. Not that we would recommend it. A 2-0 ball game. Rays with a couple of solo home runs first. Odorizzi pitching with an early lead. That's the other thing for Odorizzi. He has not, as a rule, gone out there and had a lot of runs and jumped out to early leads. Tapper third base, tough play, and a fair ball, no chance.
No, and I think when Evan fielded that ball, he took a quick look kind of to see where he was. Like, did that ball have a chance to go foul? And I think the answer is no. And this chopper right here, just not hit very hard. Evan, that took that kind of a weird hop right there, maybe off the edge, and he's looking back there like, no, that probably would have stayed fair. It was the right move. You let that one go and it stays fair, and Ref Snyder would maybe on second base because it had enough steam to get maybe out to shallow left.
And Evan really found himself in no man's land there for a moment, nothing to do, and so it's an infield hit. Here's Brett Gardner. Upstairs. Two balls, no strikes. On deck, Jacoby Ellsbury. Miller short, Forsythe won. First base safe. Nice play by Miller. They got the force at second on the lead runner. And Gardner, who can still run, beat the throw at first.
Well, that was a really nice play because that ball was hit to Brad Miller's right, and it was hit sharply. So he had to make a quick move to his right and then backhand this ball.
Number 22, Jacoby.
Not an easy play at all, and they did their best to try to turn that, but just like you said, too much speed.
One gone, and here's Jacoby Ellsbury. The Rays kept the man out of scoring position. Ellsbury leads this Yankee team hitting with runners in scoring position. And this one fouled off Laz Diaz. And he's going to try to walk that one off. Laz Diaz struck by that foul ball. Yeah, he says, let's go. Yeah, he's going to get a hand for that.
Yes.
Like it, like the spirit.
Got that right knee.
Well, he was a Marine. He was in the reserves with the Marines. And we got some of that spirit right there. Take a quick little walk around the plate and say, let's go, let's play ball.
Even the way he calls action back, you know, with that little point out to the mound, like, let's go.
Over to first. Oh, a balk has been called on Odorizzi. That's the crew chief, Jeff Nelson, out there at second base.
And I think Jake would like to know what exactly he did. He's got 3 pickoffs. He's got quick feet. You know, he's a right-hander that's able to get guys. Maybe they're saying that left leg buckled first. Boy, oh boy, that is really picking. Yeah, that's what did you see him hit that left leg, saying that front knee buckled before the foot came off of the rubber. That is what the call was. And you could see it the way he was smacking his leg, saying that was the culprit. And that is tough. I mean,
you know, so many of those ball calls are really splitting hairs anyway.
Yes.
And that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
He may be guilty.
Right.
But how many other people are guilty 99 times out of 100?
Yeah. There's no doubt. You know, sometimes it's obvious. That one, you're talking beyond a split second. I mean, it's just, if at all.
Well, Ellsbury pops it up. And Miller right there making the catch. So with Gardner in scoring position, Ellsbury pops out.
I just love the whole, the rule itself, deceiving the runner.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's what you're trying to do.
A good pickoff move will deceive the runner.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it illegal, but there's illegal deceiving.
You're not making a telephone call and warning him.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to come over there. I mean, yeah. If you could, you would make a phone call so he'd have to take it. He'd be talking, then you would go to first and deceive him and pick him off. It's all about deception.
That's right. It's just that I guess some are, you know, more egregious than others, and the front knee buckling on a right-handed pitcher, because that's, you know, a good base stealer. He's over there, and you're looking out at that pitcher, and when that front leg moves, he's committed to the play. So if you have a move where that front leg moves a hair early, that's where you can get guys.
Beltran pops it up. This time it's Forsythe. Yankees out in the third. Bottom of the inning coming, and the Rays lead 2-0.
Today, Matt Moore hanging out, watching a little baseball on a Friday night. Guys, you won't want to miss in our Rays Live postgame show the story about the Rays partnership with the Pinellas Education Foundation. Some of the most important projects the Rays have been involved with are kids, schools, and education priorities in our community. And during the postgame show, we will see Rays players visiting local schools, interacting with kids, and providing a positive example to encourage young people to perform well in school. Rays and the Pinellas Education Foundation work together to provide positive opportunities to enhance local education. Make sure to tune in to our Rays Live postgame show as the Rays and the Pinellas County Education Foundation make a difference in the community, guys.
All right, Todd, thank you. And Brad Miller leads it off here. First pitch is a strike. We're in the bottom of the third now. Rays with 2 in the first on solo home runs. One and one. That pitch a little wide. Rays facing Ivan Nova. He spent a better part of 14 and 15 coming back from Tommy John surgery. This one will one-hop the wall. Extra bases. Miller heads for third. There will be no throw. He's in with his 5th triple of the year.
You can attribute that to 2 things. Number 1, Brad Miller out of the box and the hustle. Number 2, the placement of the outfielders for the Yankees. This ball, he's able to get out and around that pitch, down and away, and lift it out into right center field. And boy, oh boy, it could not have hit it in a better spot from where the Yankees outfielders were playing. Had to run a long way for it. Took him a long time to get there. And that let Brad Miller get all the way to third easily.
It leads off the third, so the Rays with this 2-run lead, big opportunity to add to it. Here's Evan Longoria. Pop out of play for a strike.
Great opportunity here to add to that lead. Runner on third. Nobody out. You've got your big boy at the plate in Longoria. And infield in about halfway.
Too close. 1-1. Evan with 57 runs batted in. And another scoop reaching across by McCann.
Boy, he did that, I mean, with just supreme confidence. Like, there's no doubt. I mean, there's a runner on third here. This ball's really not that close. Nice backhand scoop, like, no big deal.
And that is ball 3. Says Lance Diaz. He got a little chirp from the Yankee dugout on that call.
They don't have the report, Dwayne.
No.
They would know that he's not going to call that. Probably should.
Yep. Well, you see it right there, on that corner.
That's a pitcher's dream pitch right there.
And ball 4. So he walks Longoria first and third. Nobody out. And Corey Dickerson, who homered his first time up, will be up here. Dickerson homered on the road trip, now has won the first night back on the homestand. And he takes a pitch away, down and away off the plate, 1-0. No strikes. You see the breakout. More pitches out of the zone than in the zone for Nova so far.
And if that trend continues, this lead for the Rays will continue to grow. You just cannot pitch like that and be able to sustain any kind of success.
Through the fastball. 2-1.
Well, he reached back on this one, got it up to 94, middle of the plate, but above the swing.
Ground ball. Castro takes it to second out there. Throw to first is wide. Run scores. Dickerson's going to head to second. Teixeira's throw is not in time. So the Rays make it 3-0 and have another man in scoring position.
You know, that just sloppy by the Yankee middle infield. And, you know, with that ground ball going out there, you think about maybe the catcher heading that way, Brian McCann. He had to stay there at home plate just for a second with the runner on third. And so this throw here by Didi Gregorius is wide. Teixeira's trying to stay connected, catch that ball at the end of his glove, and is not able to do it.
Dickerson thought he was safe, and then Rocco Baltelli reminded him, you can go to second now if you want to. And he made it ahead of the throw.
And for Didi Gregorius, that's the 14th error. That Yankee middle infield has combined for 22 errors on the season.
Rays get a run. It's 3-0. One strike to count on Pierce. So Longoria forced at second. Dickerson winds up at second. Miller scores. And Pierce with a chance to drive home a run. And a little wide, says Lance Diaz. 1-1. Two balls and a strike. Kevin Kiermaier on deck. Well, he's behind Pierce now, Nova. And again, more pitches out of the zone than in. 26 balls, 25 strikes. That'll play right side. Got two in the first. Pair of solo home runs from Forsythe and Dickerson. Another run here in the third. And Dickerson walks, or rather Pierce walks. Dickerson hangs on at second. That ball thrown into the dirt. And Larry Rothschild will take a walk of his own, headed to the mound, the Yankees pitching coach.
Well, can't like what he's seeing, and it's the numbers that you've referenced. You know, more balls out of the strike zone than into the third inning. That's a lot of ugly counts. Obviously, those counts lead to runs, which the Rays have 3 and threatening for more.
Well, for the Yankees, they've been on a pretty nice run, particularly their starting pitchers, the Toyota keys to success. When you go back over the last 11 games, see what the Yankee starters have done. 7-2 with a 224 and 8 quality starts in those games.
It has been a nice run for the Yankees, and you know, over the last 11 games, they have the best record of the major leagues at 8-3 as a team. You know, this is all the while, you know, you talk about all the trade speculation swirling around the Rays. You know, Yankees have already made one in sending Chapman to the Cubs, but you know, there's other pieces there that, you know, Carlos Beltran, you keep hearing, you know, Andrew Miller out of the bullpen. So we'll see. The scouts here looking at a lot of different players on both teams.
It's Chad Green throwing in the bullpen now. There's a strike. A couple of breaking pitches here coming out of that conference on the mound. 2 curveballs, and it's 1-1. Two men on, 1 out, a run home. Pierce at first, Dickerson at second. Fly ball into left. Gardner makes the catch, the tag, but no throw, or no attempt to advance the throw, headed toward third. Gardner got back and got himself into throwing position, and Dickerson held on at second. 2 outs now with 2 men aboard. And if the Rays are to get any more, Steven Souza Jr. will have to provide that. Souza grounded to the shortstop in the second. Fastball is fouled back. Nova 16-game winner in 2011. He was 16-4, 12-8 the following season. In 13, 9-6. Time right there, no pitch.
Well, not only is Ivan Nova annoyed at the strike zone, but you're always annoyed as a pitcher when time is granted that late. You know, he's already in the midst of delivering the pitch, which, by the way, was a curveball. We'll see if he sticks with that.
Yeah, that was late.
Yes.
I mean, really late.
How about that?
A strike call.
So he goes away from the curveball, goes to the fastball.
And things have not been in sync for Nova with himself or with Lance Diaz. And Souza on the breaking ball is out on strikes. Rays settle for one and lead 3-0. Look at the home field advantage when it comes to Jake Odorizzi and his career against New York. Much better at home. You immediately go to the ERA. 2-2 at home, 1-3 on the road, but a 3-run differential home and away for Jake. 1-0 the count to Brian McCann.
And we see that a lot with Rays pitchers. Enjoy pitching in this building. You know what the weather's going to be.
Yep. Well, and it does skew to the pitcher's benefit here. And there are some parks that benefit the hitters. You get a left-handed hitter like Brian McCann at the plate in Yankee Stadium, and it's a completely different matchup regardless of who's on the mound against him.
Yeah, and then you think about Jake Odorizzi, a right-handed pitcher. You're going to load the lineup at Yankee Stadium with left-handed hitters, where you get out and around a couple of those fastballs, and you don't have to hit them. You don't have to catch them clean to get them out there.
2-2 the count. As it stands, McCann 12 out of 24 in his career against Jake. And now he's 12 out of 25.
And this Yankee lineup has set itself up for failure because of the inability to not chase the fastball up in the zone. And if Jake Odorizzi knows that he's going to get swings up there, he's just going to continue to go there. And he can tell you that he's going to come with that pitch. And, you know, if you're going to continue to think you can get to it, you're going to do that, or you're going to hit massive pop-ups. And so, you know, there's enough history here. The Yankees know what he's going to try to do with the elevated heater, and they just cannot lay off of it. And you put yourself in a bad position doing that. And all day.
There you go.
It's all day.
See that first pitch up, took it. Next pitch down just a little, but still up there. Teixeira trying to get on top of it.
I mean,
1-2.
we could do this all night. And that's the thing. They've signaled already that we're going after that pitch tonight. Well, go ahead. It's going to be a long night for you.
Stayed right up there, and actually maybe one of those pitches was a strike. We talked about the triangle of the strike zone, and you can go up toward the middle of the plate, maybe out of the zone there, and still get a strike called. And the Yankees are chasing those pitches anyway.
Well, this at bat's been real simple. Look at Fox Tracks. I mean,
2-2 and a chopper into right. Forsythe is right there and makes the play. Teixeira is the second out. 2 up, 2 down.
You just wondered if the second time through that the Yankees would make that adjustment. You know, you come out firing, been playing good baseball lately. Okay. Then you realize, wait a minute, we're getting beat with the elevated heater. We need to, you see that pitch out of the hand up, you've got to lay off of it. Got to find a way. They've not been able to do that. So don't expect Jake to change anything.
Didi Gregorius. Pitch up. He takes that one out of the zone. A ball, no strikes. Gregorius lifted a fly ball into center field his first time. It's 2-0.
It's such an advantage to a pitcher when he knows he can get strikes and not have to throw strikes.
And there's a called strike. 2-1. Yankees had a couple hits in the first, an infield hit in the third. Rizzi has not walked anybody tonight. Still 2-2.
You know, that's been the key too. You know, we talked about his last start against Oakland, the previous start against Baltimore, where he did get a win, by the way. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 earned, walked 1 in that game.
Yep.
So, you know, 1 walk in his last 2+ starts. Limit base runners, limit opportunities.
Fly ball short left. Tough play, but out there from third, Longoria takes care of that one in short left field. Well, when we come back, we'll be chatting with Jim Hickey. We can talk about first pitch strikes and more. Tonight, the Rays have a 3-0 lead, and Jim Hickey, the Rays pitching coach, joins us with the emphasis on no runs for New York. And Jim, your starting staff is on a pretty good run right now.
Well, it's about time, isn't it? We've had such high expectations for them, and obviously in the first half of the season, we fell considerably short of that. And it starts first and foremost with the way that they performed. They performed, they underperformed basically, but there was a lot of other things that conspired against us, and it just seems like as a unit now, we're all just getting back to where we always knew that we could be.
What was your, obviously this is starting from the beginning of the second half of the season after the All-Star break. Was there a change in message, philosophy? These guys have been attacking the strike zone, like we know that they're capable of doing, but it has really been apparent.
I don't think that there was any change in philosophy. There might have been a little bit of a different message, and a message that we basically hadn't had to deliver around here for quite some time. But, you and I discussed it, and it was in a nutshell that it starts and ends with us. And if we're going to get better, it's not going to happen unless the starting pitching performs better and does what they're capable of doing. They have. The approach has been good. The execution has been better. And the fact that they're eating the innings that they are is probably what most allows us to be better right now.
Geyer has bounced out to short to open the inning. You've got a nice little run of first pitch strikes too, which helps.
Yeah, that's nice, and stuff like that is contagious, and this is exactly what we've talked about before when things were going bad and the bloop single would fall in there and you'd kind of see the guy's shoulders slump or just kind of tilt his head a little bit, and that kind of stuff is contagious as well. But we did do a much better job of throwing strikes. Miraculously, it just happened right after the break, and it's been that way with everybody.
Well, you know what? Talk about your guy tonight, Jake Odorizzi, and we were just talking, coming into this half of the inning, that in his last 2.5 starts now, he's walked one guy. And that goes back to what you're talking about. And tonight, very effective with the elevated fastball.
Yeah, very much so. Jake himself personally, he changed his philosophy a little while ago, and it was before the break. Maybe not changed his philosophy as much as just a much more aggressive approach. And he voiced that, and he went out there and he did it. And actually, the first couple of times that he didn't have the great results that he wanted to have. He actually had some kind of poor results, and to his credit, he stuck with it. And he continues to pound the strike zone, and especially pound the strike zone early. And as you said, for the last 2.5 games, it's been really fun to watch. 2
outs here, a ground ball to third by Luke Maile, so the base is empty with Logan Forsythe up here. Jim, a lot of talk, we've got the Monday trading deadline. If you talk to the guys, particularly the starters, about that, they'll say, I'm pitching and it's not something that's on my mind, but as a pitching coach, what do you do in that situation?
Nice play. Well, we just hang on and wait with those guys and hope that we're all here come Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning.
Yeah, Jim, thanks so much. with the visit. Always great to get together with you.
All righty. Take care.
And a nice play down at third on that hard hit ball by Forsythe. 3-0 Rays through 4.
I think you guys were talking about the scouting section earlier. 11 different teams represented tonight, watching a little Rays and Yankees. And in our greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile, the Marlins acquiring a couple of pitchers who are going to make starts for them against the Cardinals the next 2 days, as the Padres send Andrew Cashner, Colin Rea, and another player for Jared Cosart, Carter Capps, Luis Castillo, and first baseman Josh Naylor. Guys, the Padres also making an earlier trade with the Marlins, and Eduardo Nunez goes from the Twins over to San Francisco for a minor league pitcher. So the Padres now have traded Cashner, Rea, Rodney, Melvin Upton Jr., James Shields, and Drew Pomeranz this year. Back to you.
Well, they can't get done, and they're proving it. A complete overhaul, and a lot of young players going the other way.
Well, they had that little span of time where they really were going to go for it. You know, and they brought in James Shields and made some deals to try to get it done. That didn't happen, and so now you've got to, you know, move in another direction. By the way, that headshot of Cashner, are we sure that was that looked like Ryan Fitzpatrick? And he made the news too because he signed with the Jets, but it was weird to see him in that Marlins hat.
A lot of movement.
Getting
Trying
crossed
to beat
up
the deadline.
photos. Yeah.
2-2 here on Castro. Starlin Castro leading off the fifth. Headley next. 7, 8, and 9 in the lineup in the fifth. Now the count is full. That pitch out there on the corner, that will not be a strike. Ground ball for Miller. Takes care of Castro. So a couple of ground ball outs in the last 4 hitters. And that's something that overall Odorizzi's numbers don't show a lot of ground balls because he pitches up so much, but he is capable of getting that ground ball from time to time.
You see that in the ground ball and the double play.
Yes, 10.
10.
Yep.
That's a guy that typically is, you know, sinker ball, you know, good ground ball guy. He's not, and still, but you're like you said, when he needs one, he can go out and get it. Nice to be able to have that ability. There was a couple of years ago where he couldn't buy a grounder into a double play.
You know, in that regard, he's been really interesting to watch develop here over the last 2 or 3 years. 2-0 pitch. Belted back into center. Kiermaier turns completely around and gets there in front of the wall. Kiermaier went back, turned around, found it again, and made the catch.
Yeah, and the way the ball came off the bat and the initial turn, watch this. He goes back, it starts to slice, and it's like he's running a route. It's like a wide receiver there. Boy, take your eye off it. That's not easy to do in this building either. And never missed a step and is right there. That's why you don't even worry about the gold. You move right on to platinum. Start taking routes and making plays like that.
We talked about it the other night, how much the Rays really missed him. And since he's been back, you've seen the rotation improve. They've improved, but he has helped them improve. You can't duplicate what he does in center field to help a pitching staff. And the Rays this year had lost a little defensive edge. There's no question, if you watch what's going on, they've done that. And one thing leads to another. Pierce down there makes a nice catch. Down from first base in foul territory, and a good job by Stephen Pierce. So some good defensive work for the Rays here on those last two hitters in the fifth inning. And like that one, 3-0 Rays. Bottom of the fifth inning. It's a baseball cap and cowboy boot kind of night tomorrow. Hunter Hayes comes to the Trop. Post-game concert free for all guests after the Rays-Yankees game. Don't miss your chance to kick up your heels right down on the field with Hunter Hayes. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Rays up. Rays are up here in the bottom of the fifth. Want to know the count on Brad Miller. Miller, Longoria, and Dickerson. That's a strike. 1-1. Last time up, Miller opened with a double, a booming triple into right center field. And wound up scoring his fifth triple of the year. Shoots it through the left side this time. Gardner tries to cut it off. A sliding pickup. Throw into second offline. It's a double for Brad Miller. So Miller, who opened the third with a triple, opens the fifth with a double.
Where the last one he went to on a pitch down and away and hooked it into right center. This one he goes right with it, shoots that ball the other way, and that forces, once Brett Gardner went down to a slide to field this, Brad Miller, he's going for 2 out of the box. The play happens out in front of him. He understands the angle that he can take, the slide he needs to make, and he gets in.
Well, when it comes to hits tonight, the Rays are not stopping at first. 4 hits, 2 home runs, a triple and a double. And now it's Evan Longoria. Liner into left. That ball's going to be in there. Bounding to the wall. Longoria's going to go for 2. Miller scores. Back-to-back doubles, and it's 4-0 Tampa Bay. So the extra base hit parade continues.
Boy, a fastball that is center. Evan Longoria, one of the better fastball hitters in the game. You give him a mistake like that, be fortunate, just went for 2 bags.
27th double for Evan. His 58th run batted in. Green again up in the bullpen for New York. So the double by Longoria, the first hit for the Rays with a runner in scoring position tonight. They are 1 of 5. And they lead 4-0. Brad Miller scoring 2 runs. Forsythe and Dickerson each hitting home runs. Out of play the other way. '29-year-old right-hander Ivan Nova. Touched for 4 runs, 5 hits. He's walked 3 and hit a man. Dickerson with his 2 runs batted in tonight has 41 for the year. And lifts it into shallow left for Gardner. That's out number 1. Remaining at second, Evan Longoria. Steve Pearce is the hitter after making that outstanding play to end the top of the 5th on the foul pop. He has struck out and walked tonight. Hitting .310 with 10 home runs. And ball 1 again. That pitch down there on the corner is not going to be a strike. McCann and Diaz got a little conversation going on right now. One ball, no strike count. Two and 0. Well, we've seen this pattern a lot from Nova. He'll get a pitch that might be a strike, call the ball down and away, and then comes up missing way high out of the zone, and suddenly he's way behind in the count.
You're trying to make that adjustment, and you know, obviously not able to do it here. And you're right, a lot of ugly counts.
Ground ball down to third, backhanded, knocked down. Headley's throw to first, not in time. Pearce hustling down the line, beats it in. Headley tried to backhand it and could not come up with it cleanly.
Well, he's made a number of tough plays down there at third. This would have been another one. Get him go down that short hop backhand. And once that ball gets away from him, Oh, right off the heel. Got a chance here off the leg, and now you got to make a move for it. No chance.
Goes as a hit for Pierce, and that's going to be it for Nova. Nova, little conversation headed toward the plate, and Lance Diaz as he leaves. After 4 1/3, 4 runs and a couple runners on as he leaves. And here's another look at that little conversation between Nova and the plate umpire Lance Diaz. Got a little animated there.
Yeah, and I saw something I don't know if I've ever seen before. I saw and Ivan Nova livid at the results, the strike zone. Been the hardest throw of the night right there. But I don't know if I've ever seen an umpire, in this case Lance Diaz, drop scoreboard on a player. He basically said, look, it's not my fault. Scoreboard. So check that out. Those aren't mine, those are on you. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Wow.
1-0 here to Kiermaier. This Chad Green that's out there.
Because here's the thing. That's the nuclear option. When you go scoreboard, it's over. You just won.
Yeah.
Someone's chirping at you on the field, and you just point up. Hey, I don't know. It's 4-0 our team. You've got, except this isn't, in this case, it's not our team. But you get my point.
Yeah.
Scoreboard is the nuclear option, and he did it.
Yep. Well, he settled it. There you go. That's a check. Count is 2-1. You know, and it's interesting as Chad Green takes over for Nova. Nova came in, you know, he throws a lot of ground balls. So he's going to sink the ball and keep it down. And you're just not going to get that call with Lance Diaz. His history tells you he's consistent with his zone, but it's not really a zone that's going to help a guy who wants to be down. And if you're not consistent, you're done anyway. So it's a frustrating night for Nova. There's no question about that. Rays got a couple of home runs early, put him behind, and he battled the Rays lineup and, to his mind, the plate umpire Lance Diaz as well. Now Kiermaier takes ball 3. Miller has scored. Longoria is at second. Pierce is at first. 1 out. Full count to Kiermaier. And that one is So the bases are loaded. Kiermaier to first. Pierce goes up to second. Longoria over to third. And Chad Green making his 7th appearance. He last worked 5 days ago against San Francisco. Steven Souza Jr. It's a ball inside. Well, the Rays with a big opportunity to break it open now. They lead 4-0, have the bases loaded. 1 out in the bottom of the 5th. One and one. Now 1 and 2.
Down underneath that pitch, you know, this is a big at bat for Steven Souza Jr. for the obvious reason that you just gave, a chance to blow the game open, get some confidence back. You like to really get Souza Jr. back going again, try to get him hot.
Shot to left. Back goes Gardner at the wall. He leaps, making the catch. Tag at third. Longoria will score. The other runners remain at first and second, and the Rays get their 5th run. Souza put a little charge into that one and drives in the run.
Boy, he got it close, but Brett Gardner, there was no way. If you're getting it over Brett Gardner's head in this situation, it's a home run. He's playing deep out there. He's able to get to it, but it does lead to another run for the Rays. Good productive at bat with 2 strikes, no less.
Well, he hit the ball hard and gets a run batted in. First and second, 2 outs for Brandon Guyer. Inside, Guyer hit by a pitch in the second, grounded out to short in the 4th inning. Two and 0. Inning opened on the double by Brad Miller. The Rays have put up 2 more runs. And a miss again. 3-0.
Well, to the Rays' credit here tonight, the hitters in the lineup really have not gone out of the zone all that often. And they have been able to work counts in their favor, extended at bats.
And the bases are reloaded. That pushes Pierce over to third. Kiermaier goes to second on the walk to Guyer. Larry Rothschild heads to the mound. Luke Maile is going to be the hitter for the Rays here.
Well, and what's interesting about this too, this is not something that the Yankees usually see. I mean, a lot of bad counts. You think about all the walks in this game so far. They've had the fewest walks in Major League Baseball this year as a staff. You wouldn't know it by watching this game.
Well, here's Luke Maile. Maile walked his first time, officially 0 for 1. First pitch is wide.
Just look at the bottom of the Rays order. I mean, between Geyer and Maile, they've had 5 plate appearances, this being the 6th, 2 walks and a hit by pitch.
And a long one. That ball's going to be foul, however. Boy, Maile got that one. Ball hit the C ring, but foul. It comes down just inside the line in front of the 315 marker. A long one there, but foul. It's 1-1. One and 2 now. Maile up with the Rays briefly last year. More exposure this year coming up at the break. Two and 2. And he's out on strikes. Slider got him. Rays leave the bases loaded, but they add 2 and lead 5-0. And they scored right off the bat, a 2-0 fastball in the first inning off the bat of Logan Forsythe for a home run. 2 outs later, Corey Dickerson homered into right center field. Rays picked up another run in the third. Brad Miller tripled and scored on this, but turned out to be a fielder's choice. The Rays added 2 more in the 5th. Brad Miller, again, Keegan, the leadoff double. Longoria doubled him home. And he later scored on a sacrifice fly by Steven Souza Jr. We have a 5-0 game headed into the 6th inning. 5-run lead for Jake Odorizzi, facing the top of the order for the 3rd time tonight. Here's Brett Gardner. Gardner tonight 0 for 2, reached on a fielder's choice and was moved to second on a balk. He was left there. One and 1. Through 5 innings, 3 hits allowed. 1-2. And no walks tonight from Odorizzi.
He's been in complete command of the strike zone, outside of the strike zone, enticing swings, and the beneficiary of a 5-run lead, something that he doesn't get very often.
So it's Gardner, Ellsbury, and Beltran with this lead. Two. Jake coming off that outing in Oakland when he pitched 8 shutout innings and got a no decision in a 13-inning 1-0 loss. Up the middle, base hit into center. Off speed, and Gardner leads off the inning with a base hit.
He shortened up on the swing and used the middle of the field and is able to scoot this ball right by Jake.
Jacoby Ellsbury. Well, for most of the year, the problems for Jake have been early in games. Discussed that earlier. First and second innings have been issues for him. Beyond that, it's been pretty good. Liner into right. That will stay up. Souza makes the catch. He had to stretch out flat for it, but made the grab. And Ellsbury's retired for the first out.
You know, a lot of times going down with the body and getting the head behind the glove, it's an easier play to make than trying to, run in and catch that ball at the knees or down by the shins. And that's exactly what happened there. Souza Jr., that line drive coming down, staying behind the glove, making a nice play.
One away. Here's Carlos Beltran. And there's a first pitch strike. Into center. Kiermaier is right there now waiting. Beltran retired. This is what we were talking about earlier. See Jake, first couple innings, a 6.21 ERA, and thereafter 2.93. You'll take that all night long. That 2.93.
Yeah, well, all the numbers. I mean, the average against, you see the walks and hits per innings pitched, a lot of base runners, leads to a lot of pitches, more runs, the whole thing. But last couple of starts, last few starts really, he's come out of the gate sharp, and that always is going to bode well for Jake Odorizzi and the Rays when he's sharp from pitch one.
And the first pitch strike to Brian McCann. Twice tonight he has retired him, looking on strikes in the first, swinging to a fastball in the fourth. One and one. Jake technically has retired 11 of his last 12 men to face him, trying to get McCann for the third time. It's a strike on the inside corner, and it's 1-2. Fastball foul back. Just over 90 pitches for Odorizzi. Nova threw 76 43 strikes in 4 1/3, giving up 6 hits, 5 runs, 2 home runs. This one is popped up. Miller, the shortstop, out of the shift on the first base side, makes the catch. A man left. We go to the home half of the 6-5-0 Rays. Tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light, RBI leaders against the Yankees since 2008. You're looking at him right there. Evan Longoria with 91, 11 more than David Ortiz of the Red Sox. How about that?
Well, he likes the big stage, and he certainly has had his way in big moments against these Yankees. You go back to game 163 or 162. That game was just incredible all around. A huge deficit early on. Was it 7-0 early?
Yeah, an incredible day for baseball all around.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't have scripted it any better. 1-0 the count to Forsythe leading off here against Chad Green. And he's up 2-0.
And I think he had 2 in that game. No, he had the game winner, the line down the line. I think he had a 3-run homer earlier in that game. But regardless, those numbers speak for themselves. A runaway leader.
2-1. Yeah, I remember the Rays got a couple of runs and we looked at each other and said, you know, I think they might have a shot. Long shot.
Yeah.
But it turned out. There's a drive into center field. Ellsbury cuts across though and makes the catch on that hard-hit line drive. So 1 out here in the 6th. All you have to do is ask for it. There it is.
And that was the first one. That gets him back into the game. And then he's going to end it right here. Wow. The roar of that crowd, that's a roar that if you've never experienced before, whether being in the stadium or out on the field when it happens, it's just, it's like no other. Loud cheering is one thing. The roar and the eruption of a crowd in a moment like that, especially when you're talking about a dome stadium and it's packed, it is just one of the coolest things you could ever experience.
Yeah, in today's parlance, it is organic. It's not contrived. It erupts. It's as natural as you can find in that interaction with game, moment, fans. It all comes together. Now 2-1 the count to Miller. 2-2. Miller with a couple extra base hits tonight, a triple and a double. 18 doubles and 5 triples to go with 15 home runs. He's putting together some good extra base hit numbers. And is out on that foul tip strike. 2 gone now. 2 up, 2 down against Green, and here is Evan Longoria. Evan with an RBI double and a run scored in the 5th inning. First pitch, slider at the knees for a strike. Line shot, and it knocks Teixeira back, but he makes the catch to retire the side. Second time tonight the Rays have been retired in order. They lead 5-0. Sun brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com. By Hawaii's Kona Brewing Company. By Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. And by Toyota. Let's go places. From the Trop tonight, opening game of this series and the homestand for the Rays. Yankees in here, and the Rays have grabbed a 5-0 lead. Through 6, we go to the 7th. Mark Teixeira leads off against Jake Odorizzi, and the first pitch is a ball, a curveball, and off the bed of Maile, ball rolling to the backstop. Upstairs, coming into this game tonight, Odorizzi for the years. You look at Kevin Jepson. Busy in the bullpen. Odorizzi had averaged 17.9 pitches per inning, higher than he would like. There's a long shot foul. Tonight, in any one inning, he has not made more than 17 pitches. He has made as few as 12, so he's been between 12 and 17 tonight.
And that's coming off that 8-inning start against Oakland where he threw 100. And it goes back to what Jim Hickey was talking about when we were talking with him during the game about how he verbally said, I'm going to start attacking the zone. Attack the zone early, expand late, force early swings, become more efficient.
And he strikes out Teixeira. Split change takes care of him.
Well, that's been a pitch that's been inconsistent for Jake this year, but this is what you're looking for, the finish at the end. See how long that ball stayed in the strike zone, and then as the swing gets to the spot, the ball's no longer there.
5 strikeouts. The first one a called third strike. Upstairs now, Didi Gregorius. The outside edge. Gregorius has been on a pretty good run the last 4 or 5 weeks. Hitting up around 345. 0 for 2 tonight. There's a base hit. 1 out single. And the Yankees pick up hit number 5. Second game of the series tomorrow. And here's what's coming up on Rays Live. The pregame show, as always, presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Drew Smiley, the lefty, on the mound. We'll hear from him, and Orestes Destrada will break down Starlin Castro, the Yankees' second baseman, who's about to step in right now. Castro with a strikeout and a ground out tonight. Had a good month of July, hitting over 300. Takes a strike on that outside part of the plate. It's foul the other way, 0-2. Gregorius at first, 1 out. Toward the middle. Miller out at second, not in time to get the double play. Ball not hit hard enough. And by the time Miller grabbed it, stepped on the bag, Castro had beaten the play at first.
Boy, I was thinking that this was a perfect setup to end the game. We talked about Odorizzi's ability to get the ground ball double play when he needed it. And this one, the chopper moving Miller right into the bag. But Castro hustling on that chopper, and there wasn't enough time.
Jepson joined by Cedeno. Here's Chase Headley. Liner into center. Kiermaier will play it on a hop. Up to second goes Castro. For a moment it appeared that that ball might stay up long enough for Kiermaier to get there, but even he could not close quickly enough to grab that one as it dropped in front of him. So the base hit. 2 men on, and that's going to be it. Jake Odorizzi departs after 6 2/3. Back in a moment. 104 pitches, and a great job tonight by Jake.
Yeah, you saw it early on. Very effective with the fastball up above the zone, just like that, getting lots of swings. He stuck with it for the most part, and why not? All of a sudden, this thing comes in at the end. Now you're able to play the up-down game, which he's so adept at doing. Got some finish on some changeups as the game moved forward, and he ends up with another tremendous line. Second straight start that has been scoreless. If Jeppson can get another out here.
Yeah, 2 men on with 2 men out. Kevin Jeppson in the game, misses with a fastball on the first pitch to Rob Refsnyder. 40th appearance for Jeppson combined with Minnesota and the Rays. Bounced foul, 1-1. Snyder had the infield hit in the third. Retired the last time on a fine running catch in foul territory back of first. Steve Pearce made the grab. Lifted into right. It's Souza Jr. making the catch. Top of the 7th is over. They do not score. The Yanks lead 2. Rays lead 5-0. Tampa Bay scoring a team record, tying 19 runs at Yankee Stadium. They got 4 doubles from Tomas Perez. 5-time Cy Young Award winner Randy Johnson, the starter and loser, gave up 9 runs in 3 1/3 innings in that game. Rocco Baldelli had 3 runs batted in. We go to the bottom of the 7th, and Corey Dickerson takes a fastball wide. Chad Green, who finished the 5th inning at a 1-2-3-6, opening the bottom of the 7th. High fly ball center. Ellsbury back just at the track. 1 gone. You can see Pearce up here. Pearce has walked and singled, struck out his first time. Dylan Floro up in the bullpen. The count to Pearce. A 2-ball, no strike count. All 5 runs off Ivan Nova. That pitch was up out of the zone, and Pierce liked it, then he didn't, but couldn't stop.
One of the few times that we've seen a Rays hitter go out of the zone. And they really have done a nice job of sticking with a well-defined strike zone, not chasing, and that's put them, they put themselves in good positions count-wise, get pitches out over the plate, and they've made the most of the opportunity so far. It started with a 2-0 fastball to Logan Forsythe.
Now 3-1. Tap foul, a couple of pitches ago, we saw a situation there that potentially could be where you put maybe a ball in play that really shouldn't be in play. And Pierce, at the last moment, there was a bullpen ball loose from the Rays bullpen. And just as the pitch was about to be made, it rolled toward the plate. And the only thing that stopped play was that Pierce, who saw it, stepped back and put his arm up. Lance Diaz couldn't see it. And so as he stepped out, he granted time. But if the plate umpire doesn't see that and the hitter does it, he swings. It's possible that he could hit a ball that bounds in front of the plate, put the wrong ball into play. Now that would be interesting.
That's why we have replay and hopefully a rule for that. Because I mean that would be that'd be another indication that when you think about baseball and all of the games that are played every single day for 6 months, and still
they're all different.
They are, and you will still go to the ballpark and see something that you've never seen before at times.
The other thing on that situation, the umpire doesn't necessarily have to call time when a hitter steps out. That's a ball to Kiermaier. So what if Pierce just steps out, the pitcher goes in, makes the pitch, and there's a ball that rolls across the plate, but the pitch comes in, umpire calls it a strike. I guess it's a strike.
Yeah.
Time was not called.
Yeah.
A little chop to the right side. Castro goes to second to get the lead man, Pierce. So fielder's choice. Gregorius taking the throw from Castro. 2 outs, and Kiermaier is the runner. Steven Souza Jr. drove in a run with a fly ball to left in the 5th. That was when the Rays had loaded the bases. And he got down in the count 1-2 and then hit the ball hard and deep to left, caught by Gardner. Steven Souza Jr. This is the first pitch from Chad Green, whom he's facing for the second time in this game. Green gives you the 4-seamer and the slider most of the time, a 2-seamer once in a while. On in relief of Nova.
He's got a live arm. We've seen that velocity up there in the mid-90s. Jumps out of the hand.
There goes Kiermaier. Pitch is up. Throw will not be in time. Rolling off the glove of Castro. And Kiermaier has his 7th stolen base of the year in 9 attempts.
And you have to believe that as the years go by that number is going to continue to grow, because he certainly has some of the best speed that we've ever seen. Now it's just a matter of getting good jumps, and here he's able to get in on that attempt. boy, head down, straight line.
Two and one, so he steals his way into scoring position with 2 outs. And Souza's ahead in the count. 3 balls and a strike. Brandon Guyer on deck. Strike. Souza thought he might have drawn the walk, but it's a strike on the corner. Souza out on strikes. Rays do not score. We go to the 8th. It's 5-0 Tampa Bay. We're through it all. The Rays have a 5-0 lead. Headed into the 8th inning, Jake Odorizzi, another very good outing. No runs, 6 hits, no walks, and 5 strikeouts in 6 2/3. He made 104 pitches, 71 for strikes. Forsythe and Dickerson hit solo home runs in the first to give the Rays an early lead. And it's 5-0 as Dylan Floro takes over in the 8th. Top of the order for New York. Here's Brett Gardner. This pitch is a ball. Third of an inning for Jepson. Came in with a couple men on, got the fly ball out. And now it's Floro in the 8th. A 1-1 count. Most of the time fastball, slider, but he has a couple other pitches you don't see all that often. A changeup and a cutter.
You know, that's tough when you're coming out of the bullpen. A lot of times maybe it's just for an inning. Yeah, how do you mix in 3-4 pitches? Not easy for guys to do that. They come out with what's feeling good. Obviously the fastball is going to always be a part of it. and then all of a sudden fastball, slider, especially if you're facing all righties, you get the extended outings, and that's when you'll see that third, fourth pitch most of the time.
He is a converted starter now relieving.
You know, that's just like Colome, Alex Colome. And, you know, he's one of those guys who was a starter, put out into the bullpen, and we still see him come in with a starter's arsenal and attack hitters with 3 pitches. Fastball, the slider, and he's got a very good changeup.
And he misses low with a fastball, walking Gardner. Let's check in with Todd Kalas right now. Todd.
Hey, Dwayne, we have a couple of updates from the minor leagues as the Charlotte Stonecrabs played at Space Coast Stadium tonight against Brevard County, and both Alex Cobb and Desmond Jennings try to make their way back. For Cobb, this is the restart of his rehab assignment. If you remember, a little fatigue was recalled, pulled back from that first rehab assignment for 7 days. Desmond playing in his 3rd game with the Stonecrabs. Desmond with the only run in the game. Cobb, 2 perfect innings, guys.
2 perfect innings, sounds good.
No question. No hits, no walks, couple of strikeouts. That's hitting the reset button and starting off perfectly.
1-0 the count on Ellsbury. Now he finds the zone, 1-1. And the Rays got Boxberger back. He's active. Nick Franklin gets the call. The Rays putting Morrison and Arcia on the DL. Morrison with a forearm issue and an elbow for Arcia. Chopper, second to short, 1, first not in time. Forsythe to Miller gets the force on Gardner.
It's the second time we've seen those chops to the middle of the infield, and there's just not enough time to get the double play turn, but you absolutely take the leadoff man. The lead runner, I should say. This little chop, now you got to wait for it. Everything just takes too long.
It's Carlos Beltran, the DH. Which is a strike. He singled his first time up. Since about the middle of May, he's at close to 350 for New York. That's an extended stretch.
I mean, his numbers outstanding across the board, and that's why you hear so much chatter about his name being linked to different teams during this trade season, this trade talk season. We'll see how many trades come out of it.
Into center. Kiermaier's right there. 2 gone. It's an off-speed pitch there. There's Boxberger back in uniform in the Rays bullpen. 41 saves a year ago, and this has been a lost season for him to this point due to injury.
I mean, coming out of spring training and having the surgery and then getting back, and then in Kansas City 16 pitches and you do an oblique. It has been a frustrating time for Brad, but he is back and looking to finish strong.
Brian McCann, first pitch, the bottom of the zone, but that's not a strike. 1-0. That drove Ivan Nova to distraction tonight. Liner into left. That's going to drop for a base hit. Up to second, Ellsbury. Now 2 men on with 2 men out. And Mark Teixeira walks to the plate. The bullpen phone has been ringing, and we're going to get some action down there. Cedeno is going to get up again. Jim Hickey's going to take a little time, walk to the mound. Coming up on Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers. Todd Anarestes will anchor the coverage from left field. Kevin Cash will be available for the press conference, and we'll get player reaction from the clubhouse. That's our Rays Live postgame immediately following our game coverage. Laz Diaz out there with the clock running.
Usually the umpires head out there to break these things up. Laz Diaz participating in this meeting.
And you see Jim Hickey engaging him in friendly conversation, a couple of smiles. You know, he's winning on two ends there. Number one, great relationship here. If you get an umpire smile back at you, you think that's a pretty good thing. And number two, he bought a few more pitches down the right field line for Xavier Cedeno. So a nice, nicely done trip to the mound by Jim Hickey there. Mark Teixeira takes the first pitch for a strike. 2 on, 2 out. It's 1-1. Down again. 2-1. You try to keep the ball down with Diaz back there. It's a challenge to get the call.
And you can see with the style of pitcher that Floro is, so that sinker, that late movement, that's where he wants to live.
There's a base hit into left center. It's going to get Ellsbury to the plate. He scores. And the Yankees are on the board. It's 5-1. Teixeira, with his first hit tonight, drives in his 24th run of the year.
Well, he had a lot of space to work with over there on the left side. And he got one of those pitches out there. This one is a little bit further up in the zone. Just because you throw it down, it's not going to be a strike, and he just pops it through that open area. Yeah. Yankees on the board, and you know, you got the tying run, the on-deck circle.
Yeah, and with that, Kevin Cash comes out of the dugout. Didi Gregorius will be the hitter, and the Rays are going to make a pitching change. We'll be right back. Sports On brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by your Southern Chevy dealers. Floro out of the game, 2/3 of inning. Gives way to Xavier Cedeno. Moves in to face Didi Gregorius. who is 1 for 3 tonight. And the first pitch fouled. Trying to check his swing up there and fouls it out of play.
Well, he was looking for something out over the plate. We know with Xavier Cedeno, cutter curveball, a lot of that away from, most of it away from the left-handed hitter. And as he goes to dive out over the plate, this cutter stays up and in. And quick strike for Cedeno.
You know, Gregorius facing the lefty Cedeno, who's held left-handed hitters to an average of a little over 180. Gregorius against left-handed pitching is hitting .360. 1-1. And the sample is 86 at bats. He's 31 out of 86. A 1-1 count.
I got one word for you, Dwayne. Internals.
Okay.
Yep. The matrix has spit out a different number.
Yep. Well, let's hope it works. Ramirez up in the bullpen. Now it's 3-1. 4-run game right now. Starling Castro, the on deck man. 3-1 to Gregorius. Fly ball, center field. Kiermaier's going to catch it. That retires the side. They get one. That's it. Leaving 2. Bottom of the 8th coming. 5-1 Rays. Way Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock do. The brains to know, the guts to say. Catch Colin and Jason on FS1's new daily sports talk show, Speak for Yourself. Weeknights at 6 p.m. Eastern. 5-1 Rays lead. Brandon Guyer goes after the first pitch fastball and misses it. Guyer's been on twice tonight, hit by a pitch. His first time, walked in the 5th, stole a base when he reached in the 2nd inning. And that's a strike on the corner. Once in a while, that's a strike. And it seems about 80 to 90% of the time it's not. Out of play. Still 0-2. Been Nova and Green tonight. 2-2. Luke Maile is on deck. And a foul tip strikeout.
Well, for Ivan Nova, who came into this ball game with a very good ground ball percentage, up over 55%. Wants to work down in the zone with the fastball and the curveball. Not getting those calls, they just were not going to have it. We saw the exchange with him and Laz Diaz coming off the field. Well, you start to come up in the zone a little bit, out over the plate, constantly pitching from behind, and it's going to make for a tough night for you. And that's exactly what has happened. Green trying to clean things up here and keep the Yankees within striking distance, but Rays pitching staff getting it done once again here tonight through 8.
2-0, and the Rays continue to be encouraged with the kind of starting pitching they're getting. Odorizzi 6 2/3 scoreless.
Well, it comes off the 8 scoreless against Oakland, 6 innings, 2 earned against Baltimore. So he's given up 2 earned runs. His last, 20 2/3?
The Rays now quality starts in their last 9 games. Steve Donahue, the trainer, looking over that mitt, catcher's mitt, the new one for McCann.
See, the trainers are always in charge of taking care of the gloves. They fix and repair the human body. They fix and repair cowhide.
Well, the glove is just an extension of the human body.
It is. Well, it is most of the time. We've seen the Rays outfield a little spat of trying to use the bare hand quite a bit. But for the most part.
It's jammed and down to third it goes. Headley to Teixeira. 2 gone. Well, on the topic of training, tomorrow night after the game for the next edition of Inside the Rays, we'll take a closer look at the Rays training staff. Rays trainers busy this year, as you know, working on Kevin Kiermaier, rehabbing the broken bones in his hand and the shoulder injury with Logan Forsythe, Alex Cobb's Tommy John surgery. You can go behind the scenes into the off-limits training room and see what goes on getting players back on the field. It's a great staff. There's Paul Harker. Well, you talk about long hours. The guys who put in. It's a long season. Base hit, sharply hit. Forsythe is on. Got that one past Headley. 2-out single in the 8th.
And that's just during the season. The hours are ridiculous, but it's all season long. You start to think about, player moves. You think about trades, guys you're going to sign, all the medicals that have to be signed off in. I mean, these guys put in the time. Boy, they put in big time.
And they spend a lot of time getting here, too. Talk about players working their way up through the minor leagues. Most trainers wind up doing the same thing. And you have to take your hats off to them. They really want to do this and pay the price to get the experience and the exposure to finally get an opportunity at the major league level. And so God bless them. One and one to count. Keeping players healthy and rehabbing and on the field They're one of the greatest assets that a player can have. A 1-1 count. It's 2-1. Eddie Romero has joined Erasmo Ramirez down in the bullpen. That takes the count to 2-2. Evan Longoria next. The count is full. Chad Green working in the 8th. Ground ball just outside of first through the coaching box. Triple and a double tonight for Brad Miller with 2 runs scored. Brad up to 251 now on the year. Swing and a miss. Out on the fastball and at 95. We'll go to the ninth with the Rays leading 5-1. Sports Sun brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com. By the Ruth Wall Team. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. (5-1) the Rays lead, moving into the 9th inning here at Tropicana Field. Erasmo Ramirez on the hill with this 4-run lead.
Well, he is on for the 41st time, and he's worked 60 innings here this year for the Rays out of the bullpen. A lot of decisions, 7 and 8, go along with 10 holds. One of my favorite stats.
Well, here he is, pitcher number 5. Starlin Castro chops it to third. That's a foul ball. Strike 1. Castro, then Headley, and Refsnyder. The 3 due up here. First game of the 3-game series with New York. A 6:10 first pitch tomorrow night. Bruce Smiley will do the pitching for the Rays. That'll be a strike. 0-2. Our coverage begins at 5:30 on Fox Sports on tomorrow. Took a shot for the outside corner and just wide with a fastball. 1-2.
Have that count in your favor. After that last strike, too, you try to extend and expand the zone and see if Castro, willing to, try to protect, will leave it. Not out there, though.
Nope. Hard to hit. Difficult to stop, as we saw with Maile out there. Lightning might be interested in Maile after watching that stop.
And really, and with nobody on base, too, by the way. Not like he's trying to keep anybody from moving up, just instincts take over.
Two to chopper to short. Miller's throw right on the money. So the ground ball out number 1 in the 9th. Chase Headley. Headley out in the 5th inning on a fine catch by Kiermaier. Line to single into center the next time up in the 7th. It's too low. Alex Rodriguez out on deck. Two and nothing. Doing 1. Ramirez last worked Sunday. He's behind 3-1. He was the losing pitcher in Oakland 3-2. Gave up a home run to Billy Butler. Into left. Will it stay up? It's going to drop in front of Geyer. And Headley has his second hit.
Yeah, that ball ended up dying and falling into left field because it broke the bat. You can hear the ball off the end of the bat. The bat crack. Takes all the steam out. There it is, right off the end. Contact was not solid, and therefore the ball just floats and dies left.
And the mixed reaction you hear is for Alex Rodriguez, who comes off the bench for New York to pinch hit. In this case for Refsnyder. Bouncer foul for a strike. Alex Colomé at the ready in the bullpen. Inside, and it's 1-1. He's got 6 2/3 of excellence from Jake Odorizzi. Jepson, Floro, Cedeno, and now Ramirez following. Ground ball out of the reach of Miller. Headley goes to second. Rodriguez has a base hit. Boy, just a little closer, and that's a game-ending double play, but it finds just enough room to get through.
Well, the dive of Brad Miller, and even if he ends up coming up with that, it's probably not a play to be made. He gave a chance at second base, but the angle of the dive and where that ball was hit, perfectly placed by Rodriguez, and that'll end the night for Ramirez.
So a couple of hits, a third of an inning, and the call is going to go to Alex Colomé. With 2 men on and 1 out. Tomorrow, Drew Smiley on the hill. Our coverage begins at 5:30 on Fox Sports Sun. Game 2 of this series against the New York Yankees. David Eovaldi will be on the hill for New York.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, and Drew had a nice bounce back start his last time out. That's part of this whole trend here with the Rays starters, one after the other, getting the job done. And now it'll be up to Alex Colomé to finish this game off. He's on for the 36th time, 22 out of 23 in saves, 45 strikeouts, 35 and 2/3 innings. Needs 2 outs.
Got his 22nd save Wednesday in Los Angeles in the 3-1 win over the Dodgers. He faces the top of the order, Brett Gardner. Gardner 1 for 3 with a single, also has a walk tonight. And he starts him with a fastball for a strike. Toronto beat Baltimore 6-5. The Orioles have lost 4 in a row, and their lead over Toronto is down to a half game now. It's 1-1. Colomé came on Wednesday and got a couple of ground balls and a strikeout to end that game. Headley second, Rodriguez first. Ground ball short. Miller to Forsythe, 1. First base safe there. Close, but no double play. Headley goes to third. Gardner reaches on a fielder's choice. Rodriguez cut down at second.
Yeah, and Kevin Cash is going to take a look to see if maybe they got him. But I'll tell you, if you can't turn a double play here, how in the world do you ever get Brett Gardner to hit into a double play? That ball was hit hard right to Brad Miller. But boy, hustling out of the box, not wanting to be that final out. He gets there and beats it. That's great hustle.
2 gone, first and third. Here's Jacoby Ellsbury. Ellsbury singled in the first, reached on a fielder's choice and walked in the 8th. Pitch is fouled just outside of first. Strike 1. One strike pitch. Fly ball center field. Kiermaier still going back at the track. Rays win. Kiermaier takes care of the fly ball off the bat of Ellsbury, and the Rays win this one 5-1. Taking game 1 of the series from the New York Yankees. Jake Odorizzi working the front 6 2/3.